Okay, and I do show we are a minute or two after 8 p.m. Central Time, and we do want to be respectful of everybody's time here this evening or this afternoon, depending on your location. So I think we will go ahead and start today. Welcome everyone. My name is Mary Ann Tejan, and I'll be your MC this evening for our Blue Jay Family Live panel, helping your student through academic concerns. Before we get into our program this evening, just a couple housekeeping items. Absolutely want to make sure everybody knows that this is being recorded and we'll make it available. Also, if you need to communicate with us, if you have a question at all throughout the presentation, please go ahead and use the Q&A function. And actually, if we could just kind of test that out here really quickly, if you wouldn't mind jumping into the Q&A and just giving a quick shout out, maybe let us know where you are from or where you are tuning in this evening. If you want to drop in your city or state or warm climate folks, you could always pop in your high temperature for the day. That's always pretty hard for us folks here in the Midwest to see, although we did hit, I don't know, Omahans, did we hit 50 today? Close. Okay, great. So yeah, let's hop in that Q&A and look. So, aloha, Hawaii is in the house. And Spokane, cold and wet. Melinda, I have to tell you, I just put my Zag on a plane to Spokane at 5 o'clock this morning. So good to hear from Spokane. San Jose, 57. Fantastic. Kansas, all right. I won't shout out, they're Jayhawks or Wildcats. I'm going to stay out of there. Kelly, always good to see. We can always count on Kelly being in. Great. Okay. Well, thanks to everybody. Oh, South Dakota's in Florida. Good for you. Good for you. Hope your kiddo gets back though. Classes start tomorrow, right? And that's, in Dover, Delaware. Okay. I'm going to take my attention out of the Q&A because I am fascinated. One of the most amazing things I love about my Creighton experience is getting to meet students and families just from all over the United States, all across the world. So welcome, no matter where you are tuning in from, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. Our overview for this evening, I'm gonna give a brief overview of what we're gonna discuss today. You are tuning in because we are gonna talk about academic concerns. We're just gonna have a nice, honest, frank discussion with all sorts of resources. And again, know that this is being recorded. And we'll have contact information if you have follow-up questions that are a little more in-depth that we can address tonight. You're going to hear from Janet Solberg, our Director of Financial Aid. We've got Sharice Williams, who's going to speak about advising support. Sharice is from the Heider College of Business. We have our other colleges represented here as well, though, with Lisa Brockhoff from the College of Arts and Sciences and Geraldine Kam from the College of Nursing. We will hear this afternoon or this evening from Randy Bibbins Clark, our Director of our Office of Academic Success. She's going to talk about all sorts of supports, and also Betty Straub from Student Accessibility Services. I'm going to kind of keep talking fast because they've got a lot of great things to share. And also we want to leave time for some Q&A. We do have some behind the scenes folks though that are going to jump in and answer those questions. So you do not need to hold your questions till the end. You can pop them in that Q&A function. And with that, we'll go to our next slide. And why are we here tonight? This is a slide we actually use on Admitted Student Day and Summer Preview. We want you to hear loud and clearly from all of us here at Creighton University that when you, students that are here and families, when you committed to Creighton, Creighton really does commit to you. And what does that mean? We are retaining, graduating, and our students are being employed, moving on to great things at record rates. We're working today just looking at our freshman fall returners to spring, and we're approaching 98% of our freshmen who started back in August returning in January, which would be a record, folks. So it's an exciting time at Creighton. Really, the main takeaway we want to know is if you, the student, or if your student is struggling, there's support. They just need to take advantage of it. And we're going to give you all sorts of ways to enter our door to take advantage of the supports. And finally, like I said, we're going to have a frank discussion here as well, because we do need to talk serious business here. If your student For students, if you're failing to make satisfactory academic progress, there can be some consequences there, and we're going to walk through those as well. Before we jump in and I turn it over to Janet, I do just want to pause and have us think, why we are here this evening, or some of us maybe are tuning in a day or so later to come here for answers. And it doesn't matter necessarily why you're here. It could be because maybe you didn't have the semester you wanted. Maybe you or your student made a New Year's resolution. Maybe you just received a notification that you're on academic probation. Maybe you've been academically dismissed, but you successfully appealed. But really, this is your last opportunity to turn things around. Some of you in attendance maybe are concerned about getting into med school, dental school, law school, any other pre-professional school. You're worried about maybe a science GPA. Some of you are concerned you might lose your scholarship. Some of you in attendance had a medical issue this semester that affected your academics. Some of us are having some mental health struggles, or maybe we received a diagnosis, or somebody back home received a diagnosis, and that really impacted our progress this semester. Some of us, maybe, let's be honest, struggled with independence this semester. We didn't quite know how to handle some newfound freedoms. We didn't know how to manage our time. Some of us tonight are really feeling like we let ourselves down. Some of us are feeling like we let our families down. Some of us are feeling like we let our child, our student down. For some of us, it's the first time maybe we really had to study, and now we're realizing we don't know how. So whatever your reason is that brings you here this evening, welcome. You are not alone, is what we want you to hear. And just because you didn't have the most perfect semester, possibly, you still belong. You belong at Creighton, and we want to get you back on track. But before we do that, we're gonna kick it off with Janet Solberg, our Senior Director at Financial Aid, and she is, I'm gonna have you skip through those. There you go. Thank you, Ann. Gonna have her just really open it up and talk some policies, procedures, and with that, Janet, I'm gonna kick it over to you.
All right, thank you, Mary Ann. Thank you for inviting me here to talk tonight about financial aid and satisfactory academic progress. As Mary Ann talked about at the beginning, if a student is not meeting the satisfactory academic progress, they are putting both their merit scholarships as well as their federal financial aid in jeopardy. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. On the first slide here, if you want to into the next slide, we're going to talk about the policy. So the policy is really broken down, and this is focusing on our undergrads. We at Creighton review SAP, which is short for Satisfactory Academic Progress, one time a year. And so we do that at the end of the spring term. So let's think about, we just got done with fall, we're getting ready for spring. Where are we sitting right now? Okay. Something that's important to know is that the GPA that we look at is your cumulative GPA. So think about, what is your cumulative GPA right now? For an incoming freshman, in order to be meeting our qualitative measurement, our GPA measurement, you need to have a 1.75, and all other undergraduate students, you have to be at a 2.0. I tell students, even as an incoming freshman, let's really shoot for that 2.0 from the beginning. That way you are ahead of the curve. And so if after your first year or your second year, you have a bad semester, you've already kind of hit that standard of that 2.0, and you won't have any negative things happen to your financial aid. So what happens if I don't meet that GPA requirement? What's going to happen is that you are going to be what we consider failing SAP. Another thing that we look at as part of our policy is your quantitative, your PACE. What does that mean? That means that we look at to make sure that you complete 75% of your courses attempted. So what does that mean, attempted? That means any class that you got a grade in, A, B, C, D, E, or F, or a W. If you dropped a class before the drop add period, that is not included in your courses attempted. So you have to complete 75% of the courses attempted in that overall. So if this is your first semester or your sixth semester, we look over however long you've been here at Creighton to make sure that you have maintained completing 75% of classes that you attempted. We do not include any transfer credits in that. The last thing that we look at when we look at SAP is the quantitative measurement. This is if it takes you more than 150% of the semester hours to get your attended degree. So a majority of our undergrad programs are about 127-ish credits or 4 years. So that means if you're not able to complete that in 6 years, we're going to take a look and talk to you about not meeting SAP. So unfortunately, let's say you didn't meet one of these 3 things. What happens next? On the next slide, we're going to talk about what happens next. That means that you are basically going to go on SAP suspension, but you do have an opportunity to appeal. So like I said before, SAP is going to be reviewed at the end of spring term. If you fail SAP, we will suspend your financial aid and scholarship eligibility at that time. What we then do is we will send you a letter, email communication, letting you know that you have failed SAP, but we will give you the next steps in order to regain your eligibility. On the next slide, we'll walk through how to regain that eligibility. So what you will need to do is it's really 2 parts. The first part is going to be where you're going to complete a letter. This is your narrative. This is explaining to the SAP committee in the financial aid office why you were not successful. What happened, why you weren't successful. You can provide any additional documentation if you were, medical, if you unfortunately had a death in the family or things like that. You do not have to supply supporting documentation, but you can. You're then in that letter also going to talk about how things are different moving forward and how you're going to be successful. Part of being successful is that second part there where you're going to meet with your academic advisor or a member of your college to discuss and create an academic plan for the next term. This is just you and your member of the college coming together and really sitting down and say, okay, maybe if you retake this course or these 2 courses together aren't going to be beneficial for you so that you can get back on track. So it's really you and your academic coach or college representative sitting down and coming up with an academic plan. The member of the college will then forward that information to the financial aid office. And then from there, along with that letter that you provided, and then the approved academic plan, the financial aid committee reviews that, and then we would send you an outcome letter letting you know if you have been approved or denied. If you are approved, you would then get any financial aid that you had previously been suspended from back into your award. If you are denied, we would offer you some options of what's next, a meeting with your financial aid counselor, things like that. We here in the financial aid really want you to be successful, so we try to work with students, especially if it's their first time, to make sure that we can come together and create a plan so that you can be successful moving forward. And that is what will happen so again, I asked you to kind of think about where you were after this last fall semester, and then try to think of, if you're on the bubble, what happens next for the spring semester. So then at the end of the term, when we do review for SAP, that you can be successful and meet those 3 items, the GPA, completing 75% of your completed courses, as well as the 150%. We in financial aid are here to support and answer any questions. So feel free to contact me at the information that was shown at the beginning, our first slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Janet, for that helpful information. We will move next to Assistant Dean in the Hyder College of Business, Sharice Williams. Sharice is going to speak to us from an advising perspective.
Hi. There I am. Hi, Sharice Williams. I am the Assistant Dean in the Hyder College of Business. I know I have my other Assistant Deans in Arts and Sciences also on the Zoom, and also in nursing. So Geraldine Cam in the College of Nursing and Lisa Brockhoff in Arts and Sciences are also here. So I'm just the representative speaking to you today. Things that we want you to know as assistant deans is if you had a rough semester last semester, the best way to increase your GPA is to retake those courses that you earned grades of D or F. Let me be honest with you. Sometimes if you get a D and that's the best you can do, it's best to keep on trucking, especially for my students, specifically in business. Students struggle with a class like applied calculus. If you got a D in applied calc, maybe you keep on trucking and roll the dice and see how that goes. But you may retake any grade of a C- or lower. Our advice is to next, reach out to your advisor. Let your advisor help you figure out whether or not you should retake that class. Is it best to retake it this semester? Do you have to retake it this semester? You'll notice here, my other point is talk to your advisor or your friend's advisor. You know, oftentimes as advisors, I'll have a student come in and say, well, so-and-so is your student, but they told me to come talk to you about it. The important thing is we want your student to have someone that they're connected to, who they can go to and receive more guidance from. The other thing is visit your dean's office. I know that my other assistant deans, either we're in the office, if we aren't in the office, there's usually always someone around in the dean's office to help your students out, especially those folks at the front desk. I like to remind our students that, hey, sometimes if you just go, there is more than one person that can help you out in your dean's office. So a dean's office typically hold regular business hours, more like a Monday through Friday, you know, 9 to 5 or 9 to 4 for assistance if your advisor is not in on a particular day. One of my biggest tips I have for students is to know your deadlines. I have here in my slide to bookmark my.creighton.edu/registrar. The my.creighton piece of that address is very important because it is the intranet, which means that it is a total different face that you will see by using the mycreighton.edu, and that's for students specifically. So important things to know about spring. Classes will begin officially tomorrow, but students may add, drop, or make changes on their own using the Nest until Tuesday, the 17th. Fun fact, every semester at Creighton will begin on a Wednesday in the middle of the week. Students may drop, add, and make changes all the way to the following week until that Tuesday on their own. Oftentimes after Tuesday of the first full week of classes, your dean's office can even help you pass that Wednesday to maybe withdraw from a class and not receive a W. And sometimes you might even be able to add a class late. Now, please work with your dean's office and your advisor on that because different classes and different professors will have different rules. But the message is please ask for help, right? We want you to try on your own, but there are people there to help you figure that out. Looking forward past spring, a couple more important dates. Registration for summer will begin March 31st, believe it or not, and we're going to be registering already for the fall semester come the end of March and early April. All of those dates and more information can be found on the registrar site on the academic calendar. A good tip for the current spring semester or for any semester, especially for the newer students, the rookies, if you will, especially my freshman and sophomore, is to get all of your syllabi and within that first week, maybe even after the first day of classes, translate due dates, add those due dates, test exams, important dates into your calendar. Yes, we know there's things on your Blue Line account. There's a calendar that you can sync from your classes to your Outlook calendar. Basically, these sorts of things will help you be more organized. It will help you give you more of a bird's eye view of your expectations, what you need to be ready, when certain things are due. And believe it or not, organization is a really big part of feeling good about the semester and feeling successful, right? We want you to get a good start. Also, last semester, for our freshmen at least, and even our sophomores, don't be afraid to reach out to your decurion or your sophomore leader. If you have a younger student, either they just completed RSP in the fall, or maybe they took RSP last year, which is that freshman seminar class, and there is a senior leader, there is a more veteran student that can give you tips and help you sort of rebound or answer questions that you might have about spring. And if you think the senior is too close to a grown-up, reach out to your sophomore leader for any questions too. I think that's all I have to say. You'll have our contact information, and please feel free to reach out to any of the assistant deans or put a note in the chat if you've got questions.
Thank you so much, Sharice. And again, we are recording this. Those are some really important dates that families can refer back to as well. And they're also on our calendar. Most of those are on our calendar. And Sharice mentioned about getting organized, having a plan. I think that's a perfect segue to Randy Bibbins-Clark, the Director of Academic Success here at Creighton University. Randy, I'll turn it over to you for your pieces of advice.
Yes, and I am going to, I see Sharice has hidden her face because she took a lot of my information and she didn't want me to see her anymore. So I actually want to jump down to highlight just a couple of things that Sharice said. So Marianne, if you will go to my, oh, can I? No, I can't do the slides. Can you jump down to the last slide on my one mower? Right here, next one, yeah, this one. Okay, so that space at the bottom, one thing that Sharice just mentioned was getting your semester kind of planned out, taking all of your syllabi and translating those onto your calendar. That is one of the best tips that we have for students at any level, for all of the reasons that Sharice said. Sometimes students can find that a little bit overwhelming, or you think about it and think about it and think about it and you just never do it. We are having a kind of a get ready event in our Success Hubs that starts tomorrow. And it's called Spring into Success in the Success Hubs. So I'll talk a little bit more. I'll go back and talk a little bit more about those Success Hubs and who works in those. But from January 11th through February 3rd, so these first few weeks of the semester, you can bring your syllabi, bring all of your paper syllabi, your computer with Blue Line, if that's where you have information, and you can work with one of the Success Hub staff to create a personalized study schedule or organize your semester on one of our semester calendars. We also have planners and stuff available, but it's a really good way to make a connection to another office on campus, make a connection to another student leader on campus, and really get yourself set up for a good semester. We also have we will have multiple different ways that students can make that plan happen. We have some business students who like to organize with Excel. We have our traditional semester calendars, which is my personal favorite, but we will have some different options so that whatever your preference is, the best plan is a plan that you'll actually use. So we have a couple of different options for that. So let's go back to the top there, Marianne, if you will. There we go. So I'm Randy Bibbins-Clark. I'm the Director of Academic Success. This is kind of just an overview slide of what the Office of Academic Success does. I'm just gonna kind of breeze through this and get to really when we talk about academic concerns, how we are of primary support there. But we are really here to provide you with the tools that you need to reach your academic goals. I did the math today, but we have four professional staff with over 45 combined years at Creighton, helping to support students. I'm working with lots and lots of students. So if you're feeling confused about something, if you need some advice, particularly related to learning, organization, time management, managing ADHD, learning new strategies, and then content support outside of your faculty members, like for tutoring and things like that, we're really your go-to place. We work really hard to collaborate with all of the partners here on this call and our dean's offices and across campus to make sure that you have the resources that you need. I want you to note that these resources are available to all students. So if you're having some concerns, yep, we're here for you. If you're doing really well but want to do better, we're also here for you then, which kind of makes it easier for students to walk into our office because students across the board are coming in and receiving our services. So there's really no stigma attached. Next up, we are really located all over the university. Our main location is in the Success Center. That is where our primary academic coaching, most of our tutoring takes place. We have study space, all kinds of stuff there. And there's our website, our social media, and our other contact. You will have access to that. But what I really want to highlight is our Success Hubs. So in addition to our primary location in the Success Center, we also have Success Hubs, which are little satellite locations of academic success, which are right in each one of the freshman residence halls. So if you don't think that you can make it over to the library, or you have a quick question and you want to stop by, or it gets really cold and you don't want to leave in the evening, we encourage you to stop by one of those Success Hubs. They are staffed by professional staff in Swanson all day long, as well as graduate assistants and some upper class student staff called Academic Success Peer Mentors in hours in the evenings, kind of all throughout the day. That QR code there goes to the schedule for the Success Hubs, so you can see when those drop-in hours are, and there will also be a link to schedule appointments with the graduate assistants and peer mentors, which will be available starting appointment-based services for those student staff will be available starting next Tuesday. That's the first day for tutoring as well. So if you want to go to the next slide, here's kind of what we do for students. So we provide support in content. So again, that's our tutoring, one-on-one, drop-in tutoring, attached tutoring, and supplemental instruction in over 100 courses. Well, supplemental instruction is in our nursing courses and philosophy, but overall, we provide tutoring in over 100 courses. So most likely, particularly for freshmen, we are going to have tutoring in the classes that you are taking. Our hours go all the way into the evenings, and we're open on Sundays. So we really encourage you to use that support to help you do your best this semester. We also provide support with studying. So we help to coordinate study groups. If you want to work with a group, but you're having a hard time reaching out to people in your class, we will do that for you and pull groups together. And then we host those, your first meeting, help pull everyone together, and then kind of send you off on your way to work as a group. We can do study partner sessions. So if you really need some help scheduling things, or if you work really well with someone else who was working hard, it's a strategy called body doubling. You can you can schedule a study partner session with one of our academic success peer mentors or graduate assistants in the Success Hubs. We also, academic management, that's what academic coaching is. So we work with students one-on-one to help maximize your study skills and help you reach your goals in the classroom. So it's a really individualized service that is available to all students, and it's kind of an unlimited resource. So if you are experiencing anything, you're doing the things that you think that you should do, but you're not getting the results that you want, an academic coach can help with that. And that can be done either with a professional academic coach, that's myself, Ryan, Rebecca from the first slide, or with one of those graduate assistants or peer mentors in the Success Hubs, particularly if we're talking about getting organized and working through some basic time management skills. And then academic intervention is where we really play a role here with students who are dealing with kind of the issues that we talked about at the beginning. If you've been identified for any programs called academic intervention program, if you're on academic probation, or if you've been identified for ARP or RSP 130, those are academic intervention programs that are run through the Office of Academic Success in collaboration with our dean's offices. So the communication that you've received about that is coming from folks from my office. And our job is to help you and support you this semester. It's not punitive. It's not something that's meant to be scary. It is really meant to be an individualized approach to help you have the best semester that you can. So all of the requirements that we have, I really encourage you to look at it as a way to get all of the support that you possibly can so that you can make the best of the semester and then move on. If you don't want to receive that kind of support again, our goal is that we work our way out of your lives because you've done so well over the course of the semester that you don't need us anymore, or that you begin to learn what kind of support you need in order to be successful. And we don't have to require those meetings anymore, but going forward, you seek out that support on your own. In fact, I was just working with a student from the College of Business who was in one of our higher level recovery programs when he was a freshman, and he's starting his last semester, and things are getting a little bit loose with kind of senioritis, and he didn't have the best semester that he wanted to last semester. So he reached out over the break and said, I want to get, I know that it's helpful for me to have accountability and goal setting support. So I want to meet with someone. And we set up that schedule for him already. So he learned some strategies that he's now doing on his own in order to help himself be successful. So no matter how you feel about, if you're kind of feeling frustrated about this semester and not where you want to be, really take it as an opportunity for growth and support from people who really just want you to do the best that you can. And that's why we're here. Okay, next slide. So my suggestions kind of mirror what you've already heard. First one is that you take ownership of this journey. A lot of times students feel like, as college students, they want to do things on their own and and that's how you show that you're an adult. And what we see as faculty and staff is that asking questions and using resources really shows that you're engaged and you've taken control of this. We want students to come in and ask questions. We want students to admit when they're confused about something or to try new things, which is the second one. It is not a sign of weakness. In fact, we believe it's a sign of being adult, because as adults, we have to figure things out on our own. I mean, we have to figure things out, and the way we do that is in collaboration. I encourage you to try new things. So if you have things that you did last semester, I want you to evaluate that semester, figure out what worked, and then figure out what didn't work and try something new. It's pretty interesting sometimes to see students like kind of do the same thing each semester because maybe they think that they're an independent learner and they don't like studying with other people, or they've always been able to do this, but what they did isn't working. I encourage you to try one new thing at least this semester and give it several weeks before you decide that it's not something that works for you. Because we've got to keep on trying and learning and growing. And again, that's how we move from one place to another. Asking for help or just accepting it, if what's being offered to you, we really have all been there. And the way that we've all gotten to the places where we are supposed to be is by accepting that help from other people and then using your resources that we've talked about here and that others will continue to talk about. So moving on to the next. Marianne just came on the screen because that's my cue to shut up, and it's fine. It is. So I'm ready.
That is not true. That is not true. Thank you so much, Randy. And as the last words that you said reminded me of kind of a corny little stat that we throw around in our office, and that is 100% of students who do not ask for help do not receive it. So just always that encouragement. We say all the time, if you can just get to us, all of us, you're in really good shape. There's so much support. We just need you to come in and access it. And another area of support, perfect lead-in, is our next panelist. That is Betty Straub. Betty's going to take some time here this evening to talk about student accessibility services. Betty, I will turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you. I think you two planned that transition. That was perfect. Thanks for joining tonight. I will be talking about the Office of Student Accessibility Services. So the idea of SAS, we are committed to equity and inclusion for all students with disabilities. And I think it's important to note that those disabilities can be permanent or temporary in all Creighton schools and colleges. So that includes all of our undergrad students, maybe students taking a couple credits from a high school, transfer credits, our campus down in Phoenix, wherever you might be, whatever touchstone you have with Creighton, we are a resource to you if you are a student with a disability, or if you don't know if you're a student with a disability and you are experiencing hardships. I think often we receive referrals from a lot of the other panelists we've seen tonight, maybe with Charisse, Lisa Brockhoff, Randy Bibbins-Clark. We receive referrals from them if students are struggling and they're really dialing down and figuring out what help they need. And what is so wonderful about the Office of Student Accessibility Services is that accommodations are based on individualized need. There is not one meets all request for students. So let's say your student comes to you, or maybe you are a student who is saying, I'm having trouble focusing in the classroom. I don't really know what's going on. I've met with my advisor. I've met with Randy. I've met with the Office of Academic Success. I'm just not quite sure what's going on. Maybe college has a time, which is a very common time for new diagnoses to emerge. So it's not uncommon for maybe a diagnosis of ADHD or depression, anxiety, any of those sorts of disabilities to emerge during the college years. And I think any sort of disability is handled within our office. So we think maybe of our typical physical disabilities that include those who are maybe more mobility bound, or let's say you break your arm and you don't know how you're going to finish your final next week because you are in a sling, or maybe you broke your leg and you can't get from the Harper Center down to Scott to meet your friends in the for Starbucks. We can help all of your accessibility needs, whether that is a permanent for your entire duration at Creighton, or maybe that's just for 3 weeks. Do the next slide. So some of our common accommodations include captioning services for maybe students who have a processing disorder, who are hard of hearing, or maybe deaf. We have modified course materials, so that could be enlarged font for exams, and enlarged font and optical character recognition materials in the classroom. Maybe students are able to use an audio note-taking software in their course. A very common one that we have is extended time and special testing conditions for students. So the Office of Student Accessibility Services has a testing center located on the 4th floor of Old Gym, where we process thousands of exams every semester for students who do have that specialized need for testing, whether that's a private space, separate space, maybe they need access to a white noise machine, maybe you're taking an online exam and you're like, I need access to paper to write down my thoughts. You would come to our office and test with us. Another important touchstone is campus housing. So all of our campus, or all of our residence halls on campus, if a student were to, let's say, be mobility bound and need something that's close to the elevator, or maybe they had an unfortunate roommate situation that caused undue anxiety that was addressed with a provider, it was documented, then we would help facilitate accessible campus housing for your student. And there is a 4-step process to receive accommodations. The first is the intake process. And so that is the student must disclose that disability or that hardship to our office. And whether that disability is known or unknown, either is fine. If you feel there might be something that's disability related, I encourage you to reach out to sas@creighton.edu, because even if it's not disability related or you're not sure where to start, we can absolutely refer you to our other campus partners to really get a good lead on that. So after that intake process, a student would fill out this optional student self-report survey, which just goes through, again, the barriers you're experiencing as a student, what you think would help alleviate those barriers, and how long you've been experiencing symptoms and what you would like our office to help intervene with. And oftentimes too, we do request documentation from a provider. Maybe that's a licensed therapist, or that is just a doctor, a clinical doctor you had growing up. It's always kind of funny. Sometimes we get documentation from students where like it doesn't quite match up what they receive, if they're requesting accommodations for housing, but they have a documentation from a podiatrist, a foot doctor. And I'm like, that doesn't quite make sense, but we're going to roll with it and see how we can help you. And the next step is to meet with SAS to verify that disability and identify barriers. And that is the most important part, is that really we get that one-on-one meeting with students to really understand their individualized need, what barriers they're experiencing, and we get to know the student and know what other resources we can connect them with on campus. And then if accommodations are approved, students would communicate those accommodations with their faculty as they see fit. Do the next slide. And so I think we may have some students and families who maybe had 504 plans or IEP plans in high school, and maybe in the transition into their first year of college, they weren't quite sure how that worked. There is a little bit of a difference. They don't automatically carry over. So if you had a 504 plan, if you aren't sure if you had a 504 plan, but it sounds kind of familiar, you have to disclose that disability at our institution. Every new institution, you have to self-disclose again. And so until we know that you have a disability, we can't help you. And so you are responsible for notifying your faculty every semester of those approved accommodations. They don't roll over automatically. The student must send out their accommodation letter, and we can help facilitate those conversations as well. If there are some accommodations that are trickier to talk about, or the student's not sure how best to communicate their needs with their faculty, we often will be intermediaries between the faculty and the student. Timeliness is very important. Plan ahead if you can. If you're a student or if you're a family member who has a student who knows that they have a student with a disability, please put your requests in at the beginning of the semester as soon as you are able. Requests can take some time to process. We are currently a 2-woman office, looking very much to expand our office. And so it can take some time to give each student that individualized attention as we process their request and gather all the information we need to make the determinations of accommodations. So for more information, that's a very long email or a URL, but it's just creighton.edu Student Accessibility Services. I just Google Student Accessibility Services Creighton, pop it into Google. It's great. We are located on the 4th floor of Old Gym on the Omaha campus, and you'll see either myself or the director, Kate, there, who will be happy to help you in any way we can. I think I have one more slide. No. Okay.
I was much more mindful about how soon I turned my camera on since I got my scold from Randy Bibbins Clark. So wonderful. And that, I will say, is the end of our panelists. However, we do have some time here. I show that it's about a quarter till our next hour, which here in Omaha is 9 p.m. So we do have some time for Q&As if you want to pop those in to the Q&A. But we also, when you registered, you had the ability to submit questions. And I was told we did have some participants submit questions. And our first one, Randy, is going to go to you. We had someone ask, what happens when I sign up for tutoring? How much does it cost? Do I have to be eligible or apply for tutoring?
No, and that's what's really great about all of the services that we offer through Academic Success. They are completely free. And you do not have to be in any certain program or be referred by a faculty member to use tutoring, or be able to prove that you have a D in your class. Anybody can use tutoring at any time. So on our website, creighton.edu/academic success, if you click on the tutoring button, you will see links to schedule a one-on-one appointment. So if you do one-on-one, the system knows you by your enrollment. So you click the link, you select the class that you want, you find a time. It's like making an appointment at well, I'm not sure how. It's like kind of making online appointments anywhere. You'll have a list of times, you select a time, and then you will get an email with all of the information that you need to come to that appointment. Your tutor will also get an email for that same time. And then you come to the Success Center, and your tutor will meet you there. We have a room reserved for you. We have whiteboards and all of the stuff that you need. You should bring your books, notebooks, whatever you have from class. And the tutor will probably also, as soon as they get the confirmation, they will probably follow up with an email asking like, what are you working on? Or can you give me some ideas what chapter it is? So that they can get as prepared for you as possible for a one-on-one. All of our tutors we are course specific. So all of our tutors will have taken the course that you will be tutored in by them, and got a B+ or better in that course, and they have been recommended by endorsed by a faculty member who taught them in that course, and they go through at least 10 hours of training with us. In fact, our new batch of tutors is being trained and oriented tonight. So for our drop-in tutoring, that is math, bio, and chemistry every Sunday through Thursday night from 6 to 9 p.m. in the Success Center. No appointment necessary. Just show up at that time and we will direct you to the room that has 3 to 4 tutors there who are available. Again, if you look on our website for the drop-in schedule, it will show exactly which courses are covered that night. So if you're like taking Math 2 161 in business, you can make sure that there is a drop-in tutor on Tuesday night if you're planning on going on Tuesday night, or find the night that works. Attached tutoring and supplemental instruction, those schedules are also online. Each faculty members who are supported by those courses have a tutor who is attached to the faculty member and offers 2 study sessions per week for students who are in that course. No appointment necessary. Show up. You can go every single session. There's 2 sessions a week for faculty member. And then supplemental instruction is for nursing courses, where we have a junior or senior student who, again, has taken the course and works really closely with the faculty member, holds 1 to 2 sessions per week. And the tutor actually leads those sessions. Rather, it's not Q&A style. They actually lead those sessions. I will say, I do want to say that for students, sometimes students are nervous about going to tutoring because they don't know what to ask, or they don't have like a specific question. But I encourage you to go anyway, because your tutor is trained to help figure out where you are and help kind of elicit questions from you. So I always hear, well, I don't know what to do. Or like for classes like biology or psychology, it's a little bit trickier than math or chemistry where you have problems, but give it a try. Your tutor is there to help you kind of figure out what to talk about.
Thanks. And Randy, a quick follow-up question. You mentioned tutor training. So what if my student would like to apply to be a tutor? How would they find out if they would be eligible to be a tutor for you?
Yep. So we post all of our positions on Handshake, and we will start hiring. We are always hiring maybe like a couple of positions during the year, but typically we try to get most of our hiring done at the beginning of the year because people need to be trained and get things scheduled. But we will start hiring again for the spring for next fall, right around spring break. So you can check Handshake, look under student employment and tutor. And I will also say that we love hiring tutors who have been tutored themselves. So sometimes students might think that's a disqualifier because you've had to ask questions and things. We love it when tutors who've done really well in the courses can talk about how the reason why that they did really well in those courses is because they go in to get help. Or maybe I don't get tutoring for chemistry, but I leave chemistry and go to tutoring for math. And we have lots of students who do that.
Great point, Randy. Our next question that was submitted, I'm going to ask our assistant deans to chime in. We've got someone that asked, so I got through this semester and I'm realizing I think I might want to change my major. So could our assistant deans chime in on what that might look like?
I'll take that one. Let me look, Randy, here I am, so you can give me a hard time again.
Okay.
A change of major is fine. There is no set path. I think it's great that you have another interest, and it's okay if you're not quite sure what that interest is. So a few things. Number one, you can go to your advisor and ask that question. Number two, you can come to your dean's office or shoot us an email. We can help you figure out how to explore that interest. Maybe there's an introductory class that is part of the core, and maybe simply by taking and fulfilling a core course, you have piqued a new interest, right? That's why we have you do the core and all of these wonderful liberal arts and science classes that constitute our Magis core. The third thing is, don't forget about the Career Center folks who can also help you explore your interest in a different major. But as far as the nuts and bolts of what do I do and how do I plan and can I fit that major in, that will require some planning and just a little bit more exploration. So I'm keeping with the theme and say, hey, just ask, start with your advisor, email that advisor what you're interested in. I'm in the College of Nursing, but I want to maybe major in history. So that would mean, oh, let's have you switch to the College of Arts and Sciences. It could be, I'm an arts and science student and I'm a history major, but I think I want to major in history. What would that look like? There's all sorts of combinations that we can help you with, and begin the conversation. Never hurts to ask.
Thanks, Sharice. And it's a great shout out to our Career Center. I know our advisors and our dean's offices work so very closely with the John P. Fahey Career Center to really tag team that major exploration, but then also connecting to possible career strands that students may not even know that, you know, we know doctor, nurse, teacher, but do we know, you know, just that career that maybe a recent alum is in and really, you know, knocking it out of the park that we don't even know about. So, or that the students may not know about. So thank you so much. Great advice. We've got a couple more questions. I think I might actually start with an answer, but I'm happy for other folks to jump in. We had somebody ask about just academic stress. A student that did not have a very good semester is going to seek tutoring, academic coaching, but about mental health services, really taking care of their mental health. And I just want to make sure that we know, and not represented here tonight, but have been in other Blue Jay panel lives, is our student counseling team, a phenomenal team. And also, you know, somebody mentioned how much does tutoring cost? And we know that's part of your investment in Creighton, are all of these resources. And that would be the same for student counseling. So if you the student or your student is really thinking they need to take it up a notch on how to manage their stress, please just go ahead. We'll have one of our, you can always contact us at success@creighton.edu, and we'll get you connected to our student counseling team. And I think the last question that we had submitted, I'm going through, is, oh, this is a good one. If my student failed courses, should they sit out of activities, extracurriculars? And this, I'm going to give my opinion on this, but again, I welcome my colleagues to chime in. And to me, it's kind of a two-pronged answer. For some activities, they're not going to be able to participate. So we are, campus has been really livened up here the last couple of days because we've had sorority recruitment that has started, and quickly coming is fraternity recruitment, which is an exciting time, but also has some requirements. So some students that did not meet completion rates, that pacing rate that Janet Solberg referred to, or a GPA qualifier, they may be applied to go through recruitment for sorority and fraternity life, and they were not eligible. And that is tough news to get. But we also know that there's rolling recruitment. So especially if you're a first-year student, or if you are a parent of a first-year student and they were really disappointed that they weren't eligible, please know that there's more opportunities, especially in fall. There's very heavy fall recruitment. And then I guess the other pronged response is there really is this balancing piece of how are you going to fill your time? We had a conversation this morning with a family that actually came to campus to have this conversation. Sometimes a knee-jerk response is if my student didn't do well, they need to study more. We're going to pull them out of everything because they need to study and they need to study and then study some more, and they can't have a job or they can't do activities or extracurriculars, leadership. And we really want to caution to just keep in conversation with your student, because how will a student fill that idle time? You know, is it reasonable to say they're going to study in all that idle time? And I know some of us as adults, sometimes we're the most productive when we have a nice, full but balanced schedule. So I guess that's my opinion, is to caution against that knee jerk to say you can't work or you can't, you know, totally you should shut down your social life and not join this club or that. We just really want to caution and strive for balance there. And I know I would really appreciate others chiming in. Randy, I
Yeah,
see your camera is
I
on.
wanted-
So
Yep. I wanted to add, I second that. I think particularly a lot of times for freshmen, making that switch from a really busy high school life into a very, where maybe they're busy, honestly, 50 hours a week because they've got classes and then they have after school activities and they have a job, they have parent responsibilities and they're going to church and things like that. Dropping down to doing nothing because they don't have that anymore can actually be more problematic time management wise than not. Also, if somebody is struggling in classes and that's the only thing that they have to do, then they maybe are not getting what they need, like being able to participate in things that make them feel really good, that gives them motivation and energy to focus on that academic stuff. We have to have our cup filled some way, someplace, and feeling really competent and confident at a campus job can give me the energy that I need to sit down and do some studying too. So I do think that it's a balancing act, but it certainly isn't just problematic that a student remain involved in things. We really want them to be balanced.
thanks so much, Randy. I have one eye on the FAQ, but another eye on our time. And I know it looks like we've got about 2 minutes left. I do want to make sure, I know we covered a lot of ground here, and I want to make sure that we let everybody know that there is a replay of this. So we have recorded this and we will have this posted on our Blue Jay Family Live panel website. Give us a few days to get that kind of processed and uploaded. And the link to the website is in the email that was sent to students, parents, and families this week. And I would just keep that handy, folks. We've got a lot of great content coming up. Obviously, you got the email, you registered here tonight, and thank you, Anne. I see that you posted that direct link into the FAQ or into the webinar chat. So please know that, yes, and we know you are our best ambassadors. You are involved parents. You came in this evening. So if you please help us spread the word and share that link out. We feel like we've got a lot of great content, a lot of great resources, and people receive that or are open to receiving that for different reasons at different times. So just really appreciate all of your help in spreading the good news of all the great resources that we have here at Creighton. If there's nothing else from our panelists, I guess I would just close with our contact information. We always want to make sure you know, there can be content overload, or if something comes up and you just quite don't remember, Randy or Anne or Janet Solberg or one of our assistant deans. What do you do? And we have our little jingle that we do that if you don't know what to do, call 1212. That's our student and family support desk in the Success Center. All of Creighton is area code 402-280. 1212 is our direct extension. And then we also have our email address for families, for parents. That's family@creighton.edu. There is no issue too large, too small, no such thing as a dumb question. It is not 911. You know, we like to pride ourselves that about 2 business days is our turnaround for at least acknowledging that we're hearing from you at either 1212 or at family@creighton.edu. And please encourage your student. You know, we always want to keep the student in the driver's seat for their educational journey. So while we welcome parent reach out and questions, please know that we always appreciate when your student comes to you with a concern or a problem, that you mirror that back and help them learn to self-advocate and say, you know, you can always go to the Success Center, because that's where Randy is, that is where Andaluca is, that's where our academic coaches are, and that is where the hub is to refer them out to all of these phenomenal colleagues that have joined us here this evening and that will join us for our future Blue Jay Family Live panels. So with that, I'm going to wish everyone just an extended Happy New Year. Welcome back. We are so excited. We've had students pop in to say hi and to already come access resources. Please keep encouraging that. And just, we wish you all well. It's going to be a great semester, and May will be here before you know it. And thank you for entrusting your Blue Jays to all of us here at Creighton University.